Wait, the Tom Delonge Strat's how much? For a single pickup hardtail Strat? Come on, dude. I still wanted one though, so I decided to build this instead, with twice the specs and for half the price. Let's talk about it. Okay, I am so excited about this build, dude. In this huge box are pretty much all the parts I'm going to need to build my own Tom Delonge Strat, but there are some special things about this build. Let me show you. Also, I'm going to try and do it all in this tiny little room to show you that you don't need a massive workshop to build guitars. Pray for me. I reached out to the guys at Guitar Anatomy when I thought about doing this build for a bit of advice on the parts I'd need and stuff like that, and instead of letting me buy them myself, they kindly offered to send me all these bits to build the guitar, which is super cool of them. The reason that I went to Guitar Anatomy in the first place is because I've already used them before for other builds, and the parts that I've had have always been super high quality. The parts list and links to them are all going to be in the description, so if you want any of these bits, you can pick them up there yourself. At the risk of sounding a little bit overconfident, here's why this build's going to be better than a Fender.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
What you get on their Tom Delonge Reissue is just a bright coloured piece of basic wood, a borderline unusable pickup. Sorry Duncan, it's just the Invader is not your best work. Who here really wants to pay £1,400 for that? Instead, what we're going to be using is the Guitar Anatomy Roasted Maple Pro neck with stainless steel ball end frets, their nitro finish 2-piece American Alder body in seafoam green, their vintage style lock-in tuners, a Wilkinson trem because I personally like a tremolo, but you can build it hardtail if you want to, and then just all the other little bits and pieces you'd need to make a Strat. The parts on this guitar that I didn't get from Guitar Anatomy are the pickup, which is an EMG Damonum that I had for another project, but I think it'll make this one super interesting, and the scratch plate, which is just an eBay purchase. Dude, have you ever seen a Fender Tom Delonge Strat with a roasted maple neck, stainless steel frets, lock-in tuners, and a active EMG Damonum? It's going to be the most spec'd out pop punk guitar I think I've ever seen, but here's the best thing. All these super high quality parts put together cost less than half the Tom Delonge Reissue from Fender, and you're getting the chance to build your own high quality guitar. What's not to like? So, it was time to start building, and the first thing I wanted to do was shape that headstock. Now, I didn't want anyone thinking this was a Fender, so I just grabbed a pencil and drew out an headstock shape that I liked, and then I just started hacking. Well, not quite hacking, I'm not Michael Myers, but I'm definitely no skilled woodworker either, so I just did my best to take away chunks of material ready for the next step. When that were done, I mean, the headstock obviously looked like someone had just cut it with a saw in their home office. So, I got my hand sander out, got it to the shape that I wanted it, and then I rounded over the edges using sandpaper. To say that this is definitely not a wood shop, it turned out pretty damn good, but it did need one final touch I'd add a little bit later on. And I thought that was going to be the hardest part of the build, so I was glad to get it out of the way. Honestly, I was absolutely shitting myself about taking a handsaw to that headstock, but little did I know, the worst was yet to come when I started assembling the thing. Attaching the neck to the body was pretty simple actually. I just used the pre-drilled holes that were already in the neck heel to mark out where I needed to drill on the actual neck itself, and I just started blasting, dude. One thing that you might notice about me through watching this channel is that I just kinda go at stuff with minimal preparation. Once the idea's in my head, then I just get on with it, and if it goes wrong, then I guess I've got to fix it. Luckily, up until this point, all was going pretty smoothly, so I just pressure fitted the neck and got that bad boy screwed on. So with the neck finally on, I thought that whole process of shaping the headstock was going to be much more difficult than it actually was. It does help quite a lot that I like f***ing about with power tools and building stuff anyway, but then it was time to get the hardware in because I wanted to play this thing so badly, but it didn't quite turn out like that. I decided to get the tuners fitted. Now you might notice that these aren't the traditional ones that I thought they were, and I think I must have just got mixed up with the Guitar Anatomy order, but actually, as it happens, I really like these normal Guitar Anatomy ones, so I'm quite happy it's not the traditional ones. Once they were on, I wanted to get this sick pickup in the scratch plate and sort that wiring out, but there was not a single pair of EMG fitment screws for the pickup in this house, so looked like I was waiting for an order. With screws in hand, you might be wondering why I chose not to use the Seymour Duncan Invader for this build, and there is a really good reason for that. Now you know that I love Seymour Duncan, but the Invader is just not it, chief. They are so fucking high output that you lose any sort of character, and I am not about that at all. But the best thing about Strat builds is the fact that all your electronics live on the scratch plate anyway, so if you did want one with an Invader, You could just take your current one out and then put that one in, and it's as easy as that. And if for whatever reason you wanted to go all traditional on me, you could have a pickguard that had got 3 single coils and just swap that in. Anyway, the solderless EMG system made it super easy to get the pickup and wiring on the guard. So I just lined it up with the body, fixed it in place with one singular screw for a little bit of movement, ready for the scariest part of the build, figuring out the bridge placement. Holy f***, dude, I was in myself about this part of the build, and rightly so. I'd never done this part of building the Strat before, so I watched as many videos as I possibly could and just decided to get on with it. So I grabbed my drill and just started blasting again. Listen, this is where I need to tell you something. Don't be like me. It's fine to learn by doing, but sometimes you need to prepare a little bit first and not just fucking eyeball everything. By some absolute miracle, I managed to get the bridge just about in the right position, but the problem came in with the depth of the post holes. I completely misjudged how deep the post holes needed to be and ended up going straight through into the trem cavity like an absolute moron. On a scale of things that could have gone wrong though, I'm actually not that bothered about that, because I can just cover the trem cavity with a plate, or even use a bit of putty to fill those holes later on. After that, it was just a case of getting the trem claw in, fitting the bridge, screwing the scratch plate down, and then we're just about good to go. All of a sudden, it was looking like a guitar, dude, but I'm not going to spoil the final reveal. I'm going to give it a setup, do some final touches, and then we can hear it. So here it is, dude, the Jack Taylor Guitars Edition Tom Delonge Stratocaster, definitely not official. As you can see, those final touches I talked about were finishing this headstock, and I've sanded and left the back of the neck raw because I'm a big fan of the feel of an unfinished neck. And it rips, dude, I'm so happy with it. Overall, the build process really wasn't too difficult, and I did manage the vast majority of it right here in this tiny room. I mean, I didn't do the spraying in this room because I'm not an absolute madman, but the rest of it I managed to do right here at this desk. And yeah, I obviously did fuck up with a bridge post, which I'm actually pretty gutted about. On the grand scheme of things, it's not too big of a problem, and like, I could have lied about it and said everything went perfectly, but if I've made a mistake, then I would much rather not have you make the same mistake that I did. I'd even marked the depth on my drill bit and everything, and I still managed to go through, so like, just be more careful than me. But the quality of all these parts, dude, is just so high. All the materials are top notch, the spray job on this body is absolutely killer, and the ball end stainless steel frets, dude, they are something else. You can just tell that all these parts are built to last, and that's why Guitar Anatomy was and will always be my first choice when it comes to building parts casters or needing anything for other guitars. And you can do it all, end up with a guitar like this for a few £100 and not like 1,400 in some places, and it's got much better specs. Why wouldn't you? Plus, if you've never built a guitar yourself, there's like this immense feeling of pride when you finally got it together, plug it in and make some sound with it. It's a feeling that you don't really get anywhere else in music. Ripping some riffs on a guitar that you've put together with your own two hands is just a special thing, dude. I'd highly recommend it. But if you do decide to build your own Tom Delonge Strat, then don't put the extra tone holes in like I did. Don't forget to tell me what you thought about this build down in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I'd love to have you around, and take care, mate. Stay safe. I'll see you later.